What if I told you some of Hollywood's most dazzling stars were hiding secrets so dark, so twisted, that the glittering lights of the red carpet could never truly chase them away? This is the hidden history of classic Hollywood, a place where charm and talent masked staggering scandals, shocking crimes, and heartbreaking downfalls. And by the end of this video, you might never look at your favorite old films the same way again. So, settle in, because the last story on this list might just haunt you the most. Spade Cooley, the king of Western swing and a nightmare. Imagine being so famous your name was synonymous with an entire genre. In the 1940s, Spade Cooley was that big, the king of Western swing, filling dance halls with couples twirling to his infectious blend of country and big band jazz. He even had his own wildly popular television show. But behind the scenes, Spade was a man consumed by jealousy and violent rages. His wife, Ella May, had reportedly planned to leave him. That single decision cost her everything. In a horrifying explosion of anger, Spade didn't just end her life, he did it in front of their teenage daughter, who would later be forced to testify against her own father in court. He was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life. But Hollywood stories are rarely simple. Less than a decade into his sentence, Cooley was inexplicably granted parole. He even staged a comeback performance at a benefit concert. The crowd cheered, oblivious to the monstrous past behind the microphone. Then, backstage, Cooley collapsed from a heart attack. It was over. A chilling reminder that fame can cloak the very darkest impulses until it finally can't. Paul Kelly, love, death, and an unbelievable marriage. Picture a classic leading man of the 1920s and 30s, rugged jawline, piercing eyes, a stage and screen darling. That was Paul Kelly. Women adored him. Directors trusted him. But behind that debonair grin lurked a scandal that could fill its own movie script. Kelly was madly in love with actress Dorothy McKay. Problem was, she was already married to fellow actor Ray Raymond. Tension simmered until one fateful night, when Kelly and Raymond clashed in a violent confrontation. Raymond didn't survive. Kelly was charged with manslaughter and spent 2 years behind bars in San Quentin, a sentence that could have ended his career, shattered his reputation forever. But when Kelly emerged, Hollywood welcomed him back. Incredibly, he went on to win a Tony Award. And in a twist that still stuns historians today, Kelly married Dorothy, the widow of the very man he was convicted of killing. Their union was as scandalous as it was surreal. Proof that, in the golden age of Hollywood, reality could be stranger, darker, and more complicated than any film reel. Barbara Payton, beauty, scandal, and a fall from grace. In the late 1940s, Barbara Payton's face was everywhere. Magazine covers, movie posters, the glamorous starlet with a smile that promised both trouble and delight. She was destined, it seemed, to be Hollywood royalty. Instead, she became a cautionary tale. Payton's personal life was a tabloid editor's dream. A notorious love triangle with actors Franchot Tone and Tom Neal exploded into violence, with Neal brutally beating Tone. The press feasted on every lurid detail. But what most people don't know is that by then, Barbara's career was already teetering. Erratic behavior and an increasing dependence on alcohol made studios nervous. It only spiraled from there. Convicted of writing bad checks, arrested for public intoxication and disorderly conduct. Once paid thousands per film, Payton died, broke, and living in cheap motels. When she passed at just 39, she was nearly unrecognizable, a stark, heartbreaking image of how fame can amplify our worst choices and leave us utterly alone. John Drew Barrymore, the dynasty's troubled heir. Born into one of Hollywood's most storied families, John Drew Barrymore seemed destined to be a star. Son of legendary actor John Barrymore, part of a dynasty that defined American theater and cinema. But legacy is a heavy burden, and for John Drew, it became a chain. His early career showed real promise in the 1950s. Handsome, charismatic, a natural before the camera. Yet off-screen, he was lost in a haze of rebellion and self-destruction. He racked up arrests for public drunkenness and reckless driving, failed to pay child support, landing him in jail. Tabloids gleefully ran the mugshots. Directors soon found him unreliable, too risky for big projects. His career, which should have soared, instead sputtered into sporadic bit parts. John Drew Barrymore spent his later years largely out of the spotlight, overshadowed by the legends before him and later by his daughter Drew Barrymore's dazzling resurgence. His story is a haunting echo of how even the brightest family names can become burdens that crush more than they elevate. Errol Flynn, charm, adventure, and a courtroom drama. Errol Flynn was everything you wanted a movie hero to be. Dashing, fearless. That playful grin in The Adventures of Robin Hood made audiences swoon and studios rich. But the off-screen Errol Flynn was far more complicated. In 1943, Flynn's devil-may-care lifestyle slammed into brutal reality. He was accused of misconduct with 2 underage girls, a scandal that rocked Hollywood to its core. The trial was a sensation. Newspapers printed every salacious detail. Crowds camped outside the courthouse. Flynn, ever the charmer, insisted on his innocence. Incredibly, he was acquitted. And from that moment, a new phrase entered pop culture. In like Flynn, meaning someone so smooth they could escape any scandal. But while his career kept sailing, the shadow of that trial never truly left him. Flynn remains a symbol of how charisma and controversy often dance together in old Hollywood, sometimes leaving truths more complicated than fans ever wanted to believe. Robert Mitchum, the scandal that made him cooler. Imagine being busted for marijuana in 1948, in an era when that could end your entire career. That's exactly what happened to Robert Mitchum. The smoldering noir star, with the sleepy eyes and dangerous aura, was arrested during a police raid, booked, and even spent 60 days in jail. Studios panicked. Gossip columnists sharpened their knives. Mitchum could have vanished into obscurity. Instead, the public found it thrilling. His jail stint only burnished his rebel image. Mitchum himself cracked jokes about it for years, shrugging off what should have been career-ending humiliation with a lazy grin. Hollywood and fans couldn't resist. They wanted more of the bad boy who didn't care what polite society thought. And so, Mitchum's legend grew, proving sometimes scandal isn't a coffin nail, it's rocket fuel. Walter Wanger. A gun, a marriage, a scandal. Walter Wanger was a titan of Hollywood's golden age, the producer who helped bring Stagecoach and Cleopatra to life, a man who thrived on risk. But nothing in his storied career prepared him for the day his personal life exploded. Convinced his wife, actress Joan Bennett, was having an affair with her agent Jennings Lang, Wanger waited in a parking lot with a gun. When Lang appeared, Wanger shot him. Hollywood reeled. A beloved producer committing what looked like a cold-blooded crime? Wanger's lawyers claimed temporary insanity, painting a portrait of a man driven mad by betrayal. Incredibly, it worked. He served just 4 months. His career, however, never fully recovered. The scandal clung to him, tainting every project afterward. Joan Bennett's career suffered too. In Hollywood, one person's shame had a way of staining everyone nearby. Mabel Normand, comedy's queen in a tragic web. Mabel Normand was a silent-era superstar. She lit up the screen in comedies alongside Charlie Chaplin and Fatty Arbuckle, her playful spirit capturing hearts everywhere. But behind that infectious grin was a life tangled in scandal and sorrow. In 1922, director William Desmond Taylor was found murdered. Mabel had been one of the last people to see him alive, though never charged. Her association with the crime fueled endless speculation. 2 years later, her chauffeur was involved in another violent death, this time shooting a millionaire. The press hounded her, painting Normand as a woman surrounded by chaos and death. Her health deteriorated from tuberculosis, and by the late 1920s, she'd all but vanished from the screen. Mabel's story stands as an early example of how swiftly Hollywood could turn on its darlings when scandal came calling. Robert Blake. From child star to courtroom shocker. Robert Blake's life was a Hollywood story from the start, acting as a child, memorable roles in Cold Blood, then TV stardom in Beretta. But in 2001, that carefully built legacy imploded. His wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley, was found shot in her car outside a restaurant. Suspicion immediately fell on Blake. He maintained his innocence, blaming Bonnie's questionable past and shady enemies. The trial was sensational. Headlines screamed, cable news swarmed. Blake sat in court looking every bit the haunted ex-star. He was acquitted in criminal court, but in a separate civil trial, Blake was found liable for her death and ordered to pay millions. Hollywood didn't wait for appeals. His reputation was shredded, a chilling reminder that fame can't always buy absolution. Ted Healy. Laughter, violence, and a death shrouded in rumors. Ted Healy was the genius behind the Three Stooges, the man who made America laugh with wild slapstick. But offstage, his life was a swirl of drinking, fights, and controversy. In 1937, after reportedly brawling with several men outside a nightclub, men who may have included rising Hollywood names, Healy died under murky circumstances. Official cause? Complications from alcoholism. But whispers of foul play have never stopped. Studios stepped in fast, eager to protect Golden Boys and their own reputations. The truth of what happened to Ted Healy that night may never come out. His story casts a long shadow. Even the men who made us laugh sometimes left behind questions far more chilling than their comedy ever was. Wallace Beery, MGM's golden boy, with a dark side. Wallace Beery was one of MGM's biggest stars. A lovable rogue on screen, he pulled in audiences by the millions. Off-screen, many who worked with him couldn't stand him. Child actor Jackie Cooper once described Beery as cruel and manipulative. But the darkest rumor ties Beery directly to Ted Healy's death, with Hollywood gossip long claiming Beery was part of the beatdown that led to Healy's mysterious passing. MGM was so desperate to shield their cash cow that they allegedly shipped Beery off to Europe until the scandal died down. He returned, reputation largely intact, proving how easily the studio system could bury ugly truths when profits were on the line. Marie McDonald, glamour, crime, and a bizarre kidnapping. They called her the Body. Marie McDonald had looks that stunned and a voice that charmed. By the 1940s, she was everywhere. But behind the glamour lay a storm of scandals. She was arrested for writing bad checks, accused of fraud, caught stealing. The public ate it up, scandal after scandal chipping away at her star power. Then came the strangest chapter. In the early 1950s, McDonald claimed she was kidnapped by masked men, held captive, then mysteriously released. Police suspected it was all a publicity stunt. The truth? Still unclear. But either way, it solidified Marie's reputation as Hollywood's beautiful disaster, a cautionary tale in lipstick and heels. Frances Farmer, Hollywood's rebel who paid the price. Frances Farmer was brilliant, intense, magnetic on screen, but she refused to play Hollywood's obedient game, wouldn't attend endless parties, or charm gossip columnists. That defiance came at a terrible price. She was arrested multiple times for everything from DUI to disorderly conduct. During court appearances, she became combative, screaming at judges, earning even harsher treatment. Eventually, Farmer was institutionalized. The procedures she endured remain controversial, with horrifying rumors of lobotomies swirling for decades. Whether punishment or misguided therapy, it broke her. Her career never recovered. Frances's story is one of old Hollywood's most haunting, a woman too fierce for the system, crushed by it all the same. Conclusion: the true cost of Hollywood's golden age. So there you have it. 12 stories that peel back the velvet curtains of old Hollywood, revealing not just glitz, but violence, heartbreak, and chilling secrets. For every glittering premiere, there was a scandal lurking in the shadows. For every charming leading man, a rumor or rap sheet hidden just out of frame. And maybe that's the most enduring lesson of all, that the spotlight is blinding not just to us, but often to the stars themselves, who can't always see the dangers waiting in their own shadow. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Or did we miss a dark rumor you've always heard about classic Hollywood? Drop it in the comments. If you enjoyed diving into these hidden histories, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because there are plenty more twisted Hollywood tales to come. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your popcorn ready, and remember, sometimes the most haunting stories are the ones told in golden light.